Here's a brief but annoying message to let you know that you could have first heard this episode 9 months ago if you were a subscriber to our Iron Filing Society Patreon offering.
For the price of a pint and a St. Clement's each month, you can get up to 4 episodes a week, 9 months before the rest of the world gets them. Early access to regular episodes, lots of other marvellous benefits, and there's absolutely no adverts or brief but annoying messages like this that will get right on your ticks.
Find out more and subscribe now at tftimemachine.com/ironfilings.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, this is it!
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson.
I'm Sam Nifty Delaney, so what?
It's the Office Carnage Odyssey, Part 3, I think. We're looking at Have a Good Day, Dear, which is a public information film from the late 1970s, 1977, I think. And it's all about how when you go to work, all the myriad ways that you can die or be maimed or seriously injured or lose a limb or that. And it says it just describes some of the more common hazards met within offices, intended for all levels of office staff, including management. Feels like a horror film to me, to be quite honest.
Definitely, yeah.
And we've only got as far as the bit where...
It's a horror for me just watching people having to go and work in an office.
Okay. Yeah, we've only got as far as the office cunt turning up early by mistake, and he's played by Don Brennan from Coronation Street, and even that's pretty horrific. He's trying to educate the young lad in the office who's working there as well, who's just started.
He's telling him how to skive. He's educating him in how to skive, isn't he?
How to skive, yeah. How to work effectively for himself. Yeah. The young lad's got a poster about health and safety. He found under a pile of rubbish. And the lad puts the poster up on the wall, and Don Brennan says, "You wait till you've been here a while. You'll change. We all do."
Yeah.
And
he's trying to train him in cynicism, isn't he?
Yeah. Just at that point, a young lady enters the office, who was obviously one of their colleagues. And as she walks past Don Brennan's desk, he says, "Morning, sugar lump." Which, of course, is very much of its time. And she just ignores him, quite rightly. And he just goes, "Please yourself."
See, my mum, she's awful. I know I can't stop talking about her when we do this because my experience of offices was hanging around in her offices when I was a kid. And she's like worse than... I mean, my dad, I don't doubt, was an extremely toxic person in the workplace. And it's not personal against him. I just think that probably all of his people of his age were all men, right? It was all that pinching arses and all that sort of stuff, right? Which, in defence of our generation, Andy, right? Because now we're like, I can't remember what they call us, Generation X, I think, right? And now we're often perceived as the bad guys, right? Like, I was out with an old mate from school last night, and he was telling me how his boss keeps having words with him about how he upsets and offends the younger members of the staff when they go out for drinks. And I'm going to him, "Why, mate? What do you say?" And he went, "Well, I've no idea. They won't tell me. They won't go into specifics.
But I have to stop it."
He goes, "All they've said is, could you please..." I mean, last Christmas, the CEO took me aside and he said, "Maybe you should think about not coming to the Christmas party this year." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Because you tend to get very drunk and then say things that upset the younger members of the team." And I said, "Well, tell me what those things are." And he said, "I don't want to go into it." So I promised him I'd go, but I'd rein in the drinking. Well, it didn't work out like that. The CEO himself had to carry me and put me in a taxi out the door. Right? And I'm like, fuck's sake. And like, that's him, and he's my age, right? But I think, generally speaking, certainly in my time in offices, I'm not saying we're perfect, but we're never fucking... I mean, even back in... When I started working in the late 90s, the idea that you'd call any woman... I mean, admittedly, I was working in a very liberal environment. I was working in the media in London. It's quite a liberal environment. So it's not really... I can't really use it as an example that was a litmus test for the nation as a whole. But I would say it wouldn't have fucking... There was no kind of morning sugar lump. I'd have got a smack even back then. And as for pinching arses, you must be fucking mad. But I think in the 60s and 70s, my dad and his brothers and everyone were just that. It was just normal. And going back to my mum is one of these like terrible people who goes, well, I don't see what the problem is. People are too sensitive now. It was fun. That's what she says. It's like, Mum, it wasn't fun. Well, I'm saying it was. I enjoyed it. You can't tell me how I miss it. And I'm like this. I'm the university son going, Mum, I think you were living under what Marx called a state of false consciousness. Oh, shut up. Listen, right, there is nothing false consciousness about getting pinched on the arse by the geezer from Port Ledger. It was a bit of fun. It didn't mean nothing by it, and I was flattered.
I don't get it these days. I get it from bloody Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
Chance me if I'm getting a pinch on the arse from him. Mind you, if he fucking tried it, I would clobber him. But he's no Terry Ty. Terry Ty was one of the smooth talking men in my mum's office. Yeah,
Terry Ty.
Terry Ty.
That's a great name for a lech.
Terry Ty actually tried to give my brother a fiver to fuck off once. Like, literally, you couldn't get more cliched than that. He goes, why don't you take yourself to the cinema?
Oh, brilliant.
Terry Ty.
Fucking great. I wonder where he is now.
Yeah.
I'm Googling him. Can't find anything.
Dead because of their lifestyle. You know what I mean? He died of fags and whiskey. Yeah, just he lived only on fags and whiskey and gravy. And he just would have died in like 1992 or something. Sudden, massive heart attack. Just how he would have wanted to go.
Bang out like a light.
Yeah, he was on the hard shoulder. He was on the hard shoulder on the A11 on his way to a sales conference in Kings Lynn. Suddenly his heart just popped.
Bang into a ditch.
Happened in moments, apparently. And when they found him, he was in a ditch. He'd soiled himself, but he had a big smile on his face.
God, it is the best way to go, though. Maybe not behind the wheel, but I mean, quickly and without any pain or awareness of it. Yes, please. But like talking about attitudes at that time, I've been watching Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads, which has been repeated on the excellent channel That's TV.
Great name for a channel.
Wall-to-wall repeats.
Yeah.
A little bit too much Benny Hill for my liking, but it's on the whole, it's a good channel. And there was an episode the other night where Bob, Rodney Bew's character, has got a secretary. Yeah. And he talks about having a little tete-a-tete with her in the stationery cupboard. Yeah.
Bob is it's sort of like an open secret that Bob always sneaks off at the Christmas party and gets off with another woman, even though his wife's there. And she sort of is aware of it. Yeah. And she's kind of annoyed, but she's just annoyed. It's not
she deals with it.
I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
If I was with my wife and she knew that every year we went to a party together and every year there was one particular girl I snuck off to a side room with and got off with, she wouldn't be like,
you wouldn't be here now.
And Sam, and make sure that this year you don't sneak off with what's her name for a cheeky star. I've had enough of that. It would be like, I'm cutting your cock off, right? And I'm going to watch you bleed out. You will bleed to death, and that's only where the pain begins, right?
Yeah, that's the hors d'oeuvres bit.
That's the nice bit. That's the amuse-bouche, right? It's but that just seems to be the way things were.
Yeah,
but I would say that you're right that the Likely Lads is although it's very funny, I do think that it's what makes it extra special, Likely Lads, is that you really, the way it's written is you really do get a sort of an authentic, what feels like a really authentic insight to a bit of social history from it.
Yeah, definitely.
I know that it sounds a bit pretentious, but I really think that when you watch it, you're not just watching a comedy. You really feel like you're getting really this is how it creates an atmosphere, doesn't it? That you think is real. Yeah.
You look at the other big sitcoms of the 70s, which were kind of like Clement and Lafreniere did Porridge, and of course Steptoe and Son was the other big one. But they were both kind of in other worlds almost, self-contained worlds, a prison.
Yeah.
And, there was no social commentary really in Steptoe Son because there was just them two just stuck in that fucking scrapyard.
They were in their own self-contained worlds.
Yeah, but so Likely Lads, and there is some stuff in there. And it does, a lot of the stuff on That's TV channel has a little warning at the beginning. Some of the content in this programme contains attitudes which were relevant at the time, which are no longer acceptable.
Warning, if you're one of these fucking young... Like woke, if you're one of the woke brigade, then
with all the face paint on and that,
nothing to see here. Keep fucking walking, because there's something that used to exist back in the 70s called a sense of fucking humour that no longer exists. So you probably want to switch over. What? So we on the fucking BBC?
Yeah. So what were we? Oh yeah, 1970s and sexism and attitudes and all that kind of thing. But I think I've got the bit here where he just say hello, Sugar Lump, as she walks into the office.
Yeah.
Which is just here we go.
Morning, Sugar Lump. Please yourself.
Please yourself.
Please yourself.
Please yourself. Such a fucking great old-fashioned phrase, isn't it?
He's got his mouth like slightly agape as well. Like he's expecting some kind of like cheeky comment back, and she just gives him nothing.
Yeah.
She just walks past
him.
him.
Fucking hell. I'm starting to wonder what the point of coming into this place is.
Roll on 5 o'clock.
Roll on 5 o'clock, he says. 2 minutes past 9. That was the day I knew I had to leave the Lloyd's TSB call centre, Sam. I was looking at me computer, I was on the phones, and it was 2 minutes past 9. And I thought, fuck me, this is just the worst.
That is the worst. I'm sure everyone listening has got experience of that. Like, I remember having that when I worked in a call centre, and like I just associated every little job I'd done when I was younger, like bits and bobs, your days here and there, working in offices or whatever, and I was a fucking clock watcher, and I remember thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fucking ever work, like, because I get deeply miserable and depressed by being in this environment and watching the clock. It's like you say, like from the first minute to the last, and it felt like years and years. And then the first time I got a job that I actually enjoyed, I came back, and I remember, so I was still living with my mum at the time, and she was in the early stages of her romantic relationship with Rumpelstiltskin. Ooh. And he was there fucking lurking up, waiting for his omelette, right?
Where's my omelette?
I remember him. He'd always be sitting. I'd come in from work, and he'd be there with his fucking feet up on the sofa in his sandals, right, no socks, his horrible old feet. And I'd come in, and my heart would say, I think that cunt's here again. And I'd be like, oh, hello. Oh, you going out? No, your mother's just making me a cheese omelette. Oh, of course she fucking is.
I got a question.
Yeah.
How did they meet?
Haven't I told you that? It's fucking amazing.
I'm not sure you have. Or have you?
He was the fucking dad of one of my best mates.
Oh, you have. Yeah, that's right. You have.
That's what made it matter. Like, I knew him. I probably knew him better than my mum in some ways, because like he was like, his son was like one of my absolute best mates throughout my whole childhood and teens, and we were like always hung out, and I was always around his house, and his dad was sort of known for, and his mum passed away when he was like 16 or whatever, but his dad was known to be let's say an eccentric character.
Right.
Like, you know, like certain people amongst your mates have a dad that's like got a legend around him.
Yeah.
And he had a legend around him for just being fucking pretty weird. And then, then one night I fucking come home and he's at my house.
Waiting for an omelette.
I go, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, I'm taking your mother out for a drink. I was like, you fucking... Don't get any fucking ideas, you weird cunt. But he did have ideas.
Fucking
he
hell.
successfully executed them as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Still does to this very day.
Jalapeño.
He was there with waiting for his fucking cheese omelette, and And my mum came in and said, "How was your day? How was your first day?" And I went, "It was really good." And she went, "Really?" And I went, "Yeah, it went really quickly." And I remember Rumpelstiltskin going, Is that the only thing you've got to say about it?" And I went, "Well, yeah." I said, "That's how I sort of assess it. I wasn't really looking at the clock. I started, and next thing I know, it was over." And he went, "Hey, it's not a sentence, And I said, "No, I think that's a good measure of a job." Yeah. And I sort of still do, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
If you're working in a job where the day goes quickly, then it must be a decent job.
Yeah, definitely. Don't feel duty bound to stick with a job that's a load of shit. I mean, I left that call centre job and I took a job in Sunderland Central Library in the city centre.
Nice.
It was a £1,000 a year pay cut. I went down from 12.5 to 11.5 grand a year.
Wow.
Big time. 2004. But fuck me, the stress of being
working in a
call
library.
centre.
My wife worked in a library when she was younger. Funnily enough, she was talking about it today because she was saying how it was a nice place to work because you had conversations with everyone who came in to take a book out. You'd always have a little chat to somebody about the book or what they were looking for.
You're still doing customer service, but you're not relentlessly taking calls from people who want to know why their fucking money hasn't gone into the bank account. Or the other one I did, which was directory inquiries, where people want to know the fucking number for the local Chinese takeaway. They can't even remember the name of.
Yeah, hold up, hang on, wait there. Well, no, you will have to wait because I'm going through the directory, which is, by the way, what you could have fucking done and saved us all a bit of ball ache. But anyway, there.
It's under the stairs. It's under the stairs, under all them fucking carrier bags you collect. What do you do that for?
It take you a couple of minutes. It's not fucking cheap calling 192 either. That's like, funny enough, the mate who is the son of Rumpelstiltskin was the same mate who I told you about, who I lived with for a while in Brighton, and he went to live with his girlfriend, but he kept sneaking back into the house when we were out and nicking the milk, right?
Oh,
but then also the other thing is he'd steal the milk. But the other thing he'd do is, while he was there, is he'd call director inquiries, but fucking loads of times.
Oh, you said, yeah.
And we go, this fucking bill, 192. Someone's coming in the daytime when we're not around and calling 192 about 100 times, and it's costing a fucking fortune. And he's done that look on his face, like, 192? Pretending he doesn't know what 192 is.
What's that then?
We still use that. Like the rest of us, I was out with my mates last night, and we still use that as a sort of a code for I'm bullshitting you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a code now for bullshit. You just go, 192? What is 192?
Excellent.
He was probably talking to you, mate. What was this? 1996, 97? No, you were at our price by then.
What year was 9/11? Was that 2001?
2001. Yeah.
Yeah, it was then.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about that because people kept ringing up.
Yeah, we were told.
It's 9/11. What am I going to do? Well, I don't know. I mean, I could give you the number of a therapist, I suppose.
I've got the number of the American Embassy here. They might be able to guide you. I don't know. Fucking hell. So, yeah, then we see the reception of this office building, which looks a bit like office buildings look now. There's a receptionist on the desk. There's a couple of lifts. There's a staircase. People showing their passes as they come in. But it all looks just so much more beautiful than they do now. They all look so drab now, but this is all like...
It's beautiful stuff, yeah.
Detailing on the staircase and everything, and the flooring is bright and colourful, and it's beautiful. It's very much of its time.
Everything just became... Like, that's the other thing. Everything's generic now, isn't it?
Grey and chrome, isn't it, everywhere?
Yeah, because everything has to be generic because that makes more economic sense, I guess. I don't know.
I suppose this was generic at the time, but it just looks better. It looks more like there's a human
there's
touch
colour.
to it.
There's colour, there's texture.
There's colour, and it's brown.
Yeah, and with a bit of orange.
A little bit of orange, a dash of orange, yeah. So, yeah, you got all these people coming into work about to meet their doom, I guess. Because it's so fucking dangerous in there. A woman goes into the office and she puts a bag down next to a heater. Well, that's going to catch fire. Because all the bags were made of plastic, I think, back then, weren't they? And what else happens after that? We see George the postman who delivers the post on a trolley. There's a woman who asks if there's anything for her today, but then there's a little bit of an incident. George drops some mail off of his trolley. It all seems perfectly innocent, but at the same time there's another woman who's running in late and it's 9:10, and the commissioner makes sure that she shows her pass, which annoys her because she's wasted a few more seconds. The lift isn't working. She's doing that thing of pressing the button repeatedly, which of course, as you know, makes a lift come faster. But
It does, but the problem it burns out the batteries of the lift. We've talked about this before. Did you ever, as a kid, this happened to me on numerous occasions and it used to fuck me off, and in the end I snapped at someone. When I was a kid, I'd stand at the lights at the Pelican Crossing and I'd push the button, and I'd push it a lot.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, did I think that would make the green man come sooner? Maybe. But more than that, I was probably just bored, because it's fucking boring waiting to cross the road, isn't it? You're on your way somewhere, you got things to do, people to see, and standing waiting for the lights to change is fucking boring. So the way to make that more interesting is you stand there and you go, press, 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 press. We talked before about how pressing buttons is amazing.
Well, this is it. So I was going to say that it was the early 1980s. This was before the days of the video recorder, when we had access to pressing buttons pretty much
all the time. There weren't
pressing
many
a
buttons
button
at
then
home.
was a treat.
Well, we used to go to the Science Museum, and still now, I say to my kids, if we go, let's go to the museums, I go, obviously go to the Science Museum, because there's all three all together, And they go, why? It always sounds, it's the one with the fucking buttons. When you're a kid, you'd only want to go. Yeah. They go, because next to it is the fucking V&A. Well, that's all about fashion and stuff like that. So when you're a kid, you're like, that's shit, load of dresses, right? And then there's the natural history next to that, and that's quite good because it's got the big fucking dinosaur skeleton, right? But even then, you work out that's fake. So you're like, well, that's annoying. But at the Science Museum, there's fucking buttons. So you're only interested in going to the one with buttons. When you're a kid, but in the 80s, your fucking whole thing was, how can I access buttons? Every day, that's what you'd wake up and think. And the most easily accessible, free-to-use button was at the Pelican Crossing.
Of course.
And I'd press it, and there'd always be some fucking busybody Lampard cunt, right? And I don't think there's as many of them around on the streets now, but I don't know. I'm not a kid. I'm going to ask my kids. Because when I was a kid, there was an interfering cunt who'd come up and tell me off about fucking everything I was doing. When I was just samming about, minding my business, not even doing anything particularly antisocial. Some people went out and thought, I'm going to hassle kids today. That's what they like doing. And they would press, stop pressing it. Who the fuck are you? Stop pressing that button. Right? And be like, why? Because you'll wear it out. You're just supposed to press it once. Fuck off, wear it out. What the fuck are you talking about?
The king of that archetype was Paddington's next door neighbour, Mr. Curry. Who always used to fucking complain about what Paddington was up to.
Yeah. Don't you fucking mind your own business?
He used to refer to Paddington as Bear. Do you remember? Bear!
Yeah,
what are you doing in the garden now? Are you starting a fire, Bear?
That's racist. He should have said, I've got a fucking name, cunt. It's Paddington. If you want to fucking talk to me, use my name or fuck off. Because let's not forget, I am a fucking bear. And although I'm quite personable because I've been raised by this posh family, if you push me, I will jump over that fucking back fence and I will fucking gnaw your face off, mate.
I am quite a timid bear on the whole.
But I still have bear instincts. They're latent, but they can be stirred up.
Yeah, by cunts. But what would you do if you were walking past the Pelican Crossing and you didn't even need to cross the road? What would you do?
I'd press it.
Press the fucking button anyway, wouldn't you? Of course you would.
And people go, don't do that. Then the lights will change and the cars will stop unnecessarily. First of all, I don't actually believe that's true. In fact, I'm of the opinion that these buttons are placebos, right? I don't believe that the buttons dictate the lights.
Some of them are.
I don't believe that the authorities would allow the flow of traffic to be in the hands of any random member of the public. That wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right? You can't say, well, we're going to have... obviously, we have to... the town planners and all the rest of it, right? The civic engineers, they're there planning town layouts. like, they do degrees for fucking 10 years to work out how to organise a town and the traffic flow in a town, right? They're not going to go, yeah, don't worry about that. We'll just put some buttons and let members of the public decide arbitrarily when the traffic stops and starts.
That's bullshit.
You can't do that.
Yeah. No, they're just there for reassurance. Yeah,
they're there for their reassurance.
They're
there
pre-programmed sets of lights and everything on roundabouts or
in a way, it's a mental health service. It's for people's anxiety. It's like smoking a fag. If you're too young to start smoking fags yet, you go and press the button, don't you? It's just something to do to fidget. It's like they didn't have fidget spinners then. But then some cunt comes up to you and goes, "Don't press it because then you'll make the traffic stop unnecessarily." And you're like, first of all, fucking hell, pull the other one, mate. If you think that's true, and I'm supposed to be the kid and you're the adult, then we are in a fucking dire situation. Second of all, even if it were true, who gives a fuck if the traffic has to stop for a minute?
What came first, man or car? What came first?
Exactly. Fuck those cunts in their cars, right? If they have to stop at a red light for a fucking minute, well, then, you know, what's the worst that can happen? Fuck off. Leave me alone. I've got enough shit going on in my life.
Okay.
That's what I said when I was a kid.
Yeah, which was true.
I didn't say it, I just thought it.
Yeah.
I'd actually jump out of my skin when they told me off. And I'd scuttle away.
Crying a bush.
Yeah. Mother, the man at the light shouted at me again. Have you been pressing that button again? Yes, I couldn't help it.
He was right to shout at you.
I'm gonna get some special gloves for you to stop your pressing finger working.
I'll send you out in oven gloves.
Let's see you press the button then. Please don't, Mother. I love to press the button so much. It's so shiny. No. And if any of those horrible old Nazi men come and tell you off for it, I'll back them.
All the way to the High Court.
I'll back them to Strasbourg if I have to.
We gotta leave it there because we've both got other engagements, and also we're doing 2 episodes of this today, so you just get what you get.
Break.
Bit more of this later on today. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.